Hey, what's up? This is Fred. I wanted to do a quick video to kind of bring you into perspective about how financial behaviors and attitudes form. So it starts like way when we're kids. We don't really understand what it is that we're going through because most people never received any type of formal education when it comes to finances. So with that being said, if we didn't learn about money through some type of formal education, how do we develop our skills when it comes to our money, right? So there's things that we're going to talk that I want to talk about to kind of get you thinking about what exactly and where exactly you learned and what it is that you are learning and from whom you learn that stuff from, and are these people qualified to give you that type of education, right? So when it comes to our education, when it comes to our finances, usually the first people that we're able to see is things coming from either TV or our parents, right? Because that's who form and mold us as we're growing up, right? So first our parents, but probably more importantly is going to be TV, because when we're watching cartoons as a child, not only cartoons, but maybe even some other kind of shows, you know, there's commercials, and the commercials are geared towards, if we're watching a kids show, maybe on Disney, and the commercial comes on, these things are going to be teaching kids about commercials and what the kids are going to now go ask their parents for, right? So when I talk about this, I want you to understand that we're learning at a very young age when it comes to commercials, right? And then parents. Our parents, as we get older, we're starting to ask parents, hey, I saw this on TV, on a commercial, can you get it for me? And whether they say yes or no, it's probably where you're going to learn some of the things. And some of these things could be positive, but some could have a negative effect on you, right? As you grow older, things might change in your life and you might start seeing things a little bit differently. So you might start learning things from teachers who may touch on the subject, but are they really diving deep into it? Now, I know there's a couple states, I believe it's Florida and maybe Texas, no, maybe Georgia. Florida and Georgia, I believe, are now requiring that you be taught financial education before you can graduate high school, and I believe that's very important. Not only should they teach finances, I think that should be done nationwide, first of all. Second of all, I think they do need to also educate on credit, because these two things, they coincide with one another. Now, I'm not sure exactly how deep they're going in their financial education that they'll be teaching before someone can graduate, but if they are or not, they do need to implement the credit part aspect of that, because credit is going to have a major impact on the amount of interest that you pay throughout your life. So it's very important that you get that information in, right? Now, you also might hear things from friends, and is this a friend that's you wish that you were more like, that you were able to follow more, or is this friend making things look as if they have more than they actually do and they're overspending? We have to dive deep into these types of things. Like I said, we have to dive deep into these things to kind of understand if it's something that we want to follow, right? Because if we see them and they may be trying to keep up with the Joneses, right? And do we really want to keep up with the Joneses, or are we trying to get debt free? Are we trying to build a savings for our retirement? We don't really know what other people are going through, and it's not really our job to know what they're going through. The only job that we need to work towards is helping us meet our own goals for our family, right? Because we want to retire. We don't want to be working late in our later years. We want to retire when we're able to, early if we are able to, but we also need to understand that we have to have the finances there in order to support ourselves. So the short term goes along with the long term goals that we need to set for ourselves. But again, it all comes down to mindset, right? Now, we also can talk about salespeople. Salespeople will try to help push you to buy and make a purchase that you may or may not need, right? You may need a vehicle, right? And you're at the dealership looking at a vehicle, and the salesperson is telling you all of the benefits of having this vehicle. But are all the benefits needed, right? Do you need the highest level of that vehicle, or can you get by with having a lower level, right? Then it comes into needs and wants. Like, what do you need? What do you want? And then you have to start thinking about the financial aspect. Can you afford to have those needs? Or do you settle for the wants that you really want, right? Um, excuse me, vice versa. Can you afford the needs? Can you afford the wants? I keep saying the same thing, but can you afford the wants, right? You get the needs, but can you afford the wants? If you can't, if your income doesn't justify it, don't go broke trying to change things, right? And we'll talk about these in later series, but this is just some of the things that I want to bring to you guys to help you understand that financial budgeting and that aspect of your life is way more than just a course that we can teach. It's more of a lifestyle that you have to adjust to, right? Because it's not going to be an easy process, right? We have to dive deep into the mindset of how it is and why it is that we got into this particular situation that we're in, right? And it, like I say, it's not always bad, right? But you can make bad financial decisions if you're not really thinking things out and thinking things through, right? Other professionals, that could be something that can help mold you, right? And then close associates and peers, right? Who are you going to follow? You have to draw a line in the sand and kind of see where it is that you want to stand, where you're trying to stand at. And if it's going to work for you, fine, go out and do that. But we want to make sure that you're doing things in the most ethical way possible when it comes to meeting your goals. And the reason why I'm bringing this video out and something that I've never really talked about is because before you're going to start working on your financial aspect of your life, you do have to start thinking about things outside of the box, thinking about things of how you got into where you are, right? Do you have good credit? Do you have bad credit? Okay, if you have bad credit, how did you get there? If you have good credit, how did you get there, right? Because you could pay all of your bills on time, never been late, right? And you may think that you have good credit, but then you're overspending on your credit cards, which causes your utilization to raise, and in turn, your credit score will go down, right? So there's a lot of aspects that come to mind when I'm thinking about budgeting and finances and things like that, and the lifestyle that I want to live not only now, but in the future. So I have to make sure that all of these things are aligning to what it is that I want 10, 20, 30 years down the line, right? Because I'm still young, right? Well, I feel old, but I'm still fairly young. Haven't hit 50 yet. So it is something that I think that is very important for you guys to understand, right? So what I'm trying to say is before you take financial advice from somebody, and before you start to want to follow what it is that they're doing, ask them to show a little bit more, like kind of explain to you what it is and why it is that they're saying what they're saying to you, what they're recommending to you, right? For example, I'm going to tell everybody to save money for an emergency fund. Now, I want you to have a small emergency fund before anything, before you start paying down your bills and start tackling on your debt. I want you to have some type of minimal emergency fund, right? Because the emergency fund is not only going to help you in a time of crisis, but it's going to help you set a pattern, right? Which can form a habit, right? Because that's what we're trying to do is we're trying to build habits. We're trying to change old habits into new habits that are going to benefit us. So first thing I'm always going to recommend you do, save money, right? For your emergency fund. At least $1,000, right? $1,000 to $2,500 is what I like to recommend. Once you get there, right? Are you putting away towards your future 401k, right? Are you putting away towards that? Do you have an IRA, Roth IRA? Do you have something like that in place right now? If you do, and you're in debt, we want to focus things, right? We want to prioritize, okay? What do I mean by prioritization? Basically what it is that I mean is let's prioritize what we got going on. Let's say you have a credit card, right? And your credit card is charging you 22% interest, right? Are you going to put away money to your 401k that's going to get you maybe 10 to 12% in the long run? Or are you going to focus on paying that debt down that's at 22%? Because there's a huge difference, a 10 to 12% difference. So what's going to be most important to you in the long run? And I would say to put a hold on your 401k and start tackling that debt, right? Start tackling the debt, start paying down your debt. And how do you know what debt you have? You have to list the stuff out, right? Figure out what bills you have and start listing it out, prioritizing, and seeing where you can cut expenses at, right? Can I cut expenses? How can I cut expenses? Where can I learn? Where can I look to cut expenses? You have to start writing things out. And then you'll have a picture of exactly what it is that you have, how much your monthly payment is, what your minimum monthly payment is, what your balance is, what your interest rate is, right? So once you have all this information, then you can start thinking about things and say, okay, hey, I got a gym membership that I haven't used in 4 months. You know, can I do some calisthenics at home, right? And cut that bill out. That might save you $20, right? So there's a lot of things that you can do, but you have to start writing things down so you see the overall picture and know what you can and can't do as far as cutting out things, right? Another thing, influencers. So you might be on social media and you see influencers, they're talking all this stuff and they spit a good game. I'll tell you, they spit a good game and they show all these fancy things, but at the end of the day, what do they really have, right? Are they fooling you? Are they doing fake screenshots, right? Because it's not hard to change something online, right? It's not hard to do that. And a lot of times people fall for it thinking that just because they did it online and they're showing this proof of what they've got, is that proof actual, right? Is it factual, right? We'll never know. But again, this is their life. It's not your life. It's their life. So why are you going to try to do what they're doing? It's time for you to do what you need to do and focus on you, right? When you're in an airplane, the first thing they tell you to do before the plane takes off is, if something should happen, the air thing with oxygen is going to fall down from the ceiling. They tell you to put it on yourself first and then help those around you, right? So I've done what I'm talking about. I've already done this stuff, right? So I know what I'm talking about. And now that I have my mask on, now I'm trying to help you guys. I'm trying to help you figure out a way to, one, identify where your issues are, identify how you came to these issues, right? By thinking first about the psychology behind everything, right? So with that being said, you know, how are we learning about money? Where are our stuff? Where's the stuff coming from, right? Again, we talked about parents, caretakers, right? And this role model, it starts as young as kids that we're learning this type of stuff, right? Advertising, that could be commercials, like I talked about earlier. So when did we start learning about this stuff? Okay. Peers and influencers, again, going back to social media. Like, are these people really doing it? And if they are doing it, who cares? What do they got to do with you, right? A lot of times people look at someone's net worth like, what's LeBron James worth, right? Or what is Steph Curry worth? What do they make a year? They're professional ball players. Of course, they're not going to be what you're making, right? The jewelry that some of these rappers or singers are wearing, that's not something that's in your lane, right? We all have to stay within our financial lane, not go overspending just to try to impress somebody, right? Because I'm not trying to impress you, I'm trying to impress upon you what it is that you can do with your life once you start focusing in a different area, right? Stop focusing on trying to showboat, stop focusing on trying to live with the Joneses, and start living in your own lane. You have your own last name. And if it's Joneses, no pun intended, but I'm just saying, all right? Personal experience, right? What type of personal experiences have you guys gone through to get you where you were? Did you lose a job, right? Now, I can tell you from my own experience, there have been plenty of times that I've lost a job, right? There have been plenty of times I've lost a job, right? when I wasn't expecting to lose the job. I've been fired on my day off. And I'm not ashamed to say that I've been fired on my day off. It wasn't for anything that I did specifically. Nothing that was related to my job duties, right? But then I've also been fired from a job because I was doing things I shouldn't have been doing. So I'm not here to make myself sound like, I'm that perfect role model. No, I'm not. I've made my mistakes, but I've also corrected my mistakes and learned from my past, right? And that's why we have something that's called history. I'm going to look at the overall picture and try to show you through the lens that I've gone through my own experiences, because I don't want you to go through what I've gone through. And if I can help just one or two people avoid the mistakes that I've made, I'm going to feel good about myself, right? And then again, like I said earlier in the video, we don't have a lot of formal education when it comes to financial education. So that's what I want to try to do, is kind of try to turn the tables, if you will, and kind of help you guys understand that things do change, right? I'm trying to give you a platform, one that you could voice out any concerns that you might have, right? If you need information, reach out to me. Let me know what kind of struggles you're going through. Leave it in the comments, right? I'll reach out to you. I'm going to leave my information in the description, right? What I ask you to do is, if you have a question, email me. Send me an email. I'll reply back. I'll send you some educational material to help you address your situation that you're going through, right? Because in my heart, my soul, my ultimate goal is to help you get to where you need to be. And the only way I can do that is through the education that I'm trying to provide you here on YouTube, right? And again, all of this stuff, to me, equals lack of knowledge, negative financial behaviors, and a low confidence level, right? So we're trying to change that, trying to get your mindset changed to a different level. We want to make sure that you get to where you need to be. The only way we can do that, the only way I can do that, is to pour into you as much as I wish somebody was able to pour into me. Because I was told, start a 401k when I was young, right? And because I didn't have my finances in order, I didn't do it, right? And I lost out on a lot of money that could have been built, because compounding interest, they say, is the eighth wonder of the world. So I lost out on that. I don't want you guys to lose out, but I also don't want you guys to lose out because you're not making good financial and wise decisions, right? So, in conclusion, what I'm trying to say is, most of us haven't had that formal education, right? So I want to try to be the one to help bridge that gap for you. Like I said, I have my own thing going on. I've been a credit repair company for over 20 years. I've been doing this for a long time, but I've always had a core common denominator when it comes to people's credit. And that core common denominator is, a budget was never put in place. Financial education was never put in place. So I could speak this stuff until I'm blue in the face, but until somebody actually implements what I'm talking about, things will never change. You're going to continue doing the same thing, getting the same type of results. And that, my friend, is the definition of insanity. We don't want you to be there. We want you to change your mindset, change your financial habits, right? So that way you can go ahead and understand what it is that I'm trying to show you, what I'm trying to teach you. And through these videos that I'm going to continue to make and continue to bring out to you guys, is the only way that I'll be able to help you guys, one, understand, the financial aspect of your life and how important it is to you, right? Because if you have person A, John, over here, and person B, Jack, over there, give me 1 second, turn off my ringer. You got John and Jack, right? And John, he has his house in order. He has his financial house in order. Jack, he doesn't, right? John's credit is great. He has a 785. Jack, on the other hand, he has a 560. And they go to buy a car. They both want a car. They're best friends. Actually, these two are twin brothers, right? So they want to get the exact same car. They're identical twins are going to get the identical car, right? But John has good credit and Jack doesn't. John qualifies for the best rates. Jack doesn't. John's car payment is $500. Jack's is $832. Jack is paying $332 more than John, right? And it's a 60-year loan. $332 over 60 years. 60 months, is a lot of money. A lot of money. $332 a month for 5 years can get you out of debt. It could put you in a great financial position in regards to leveraging that money. Maybe you might want to invest in some type of whole life insurance, or maybe even a term policy with a cashback option. Whatever the case is, that money could be used for somewhere else. Maybe they can be put into a better property, right? Because they qualify for something much better. Maybe they can put that towards their emergency fund, right? Because that can get them to where they need to be to fully fund their 6-month emergency fund, right? So there's a lot of things that can be done, but you just have to have the know-how. You have to have the education, and you have to implement that education, because having the knowledge isn't enough. You have to apply that knowledge. So with that being said, I just want to bring this video to you. I know I kind of rambled on. I talked a lot, but it's something that I feel is very important to you in your future. And I just want to be able to provide just a little bit of information that may be able to help you in the future. Like I said, if you found this information valuable, please give me a thumbs up. I definitely appreciate if you can go ahead and subscribe to the channel, hit that little bell notification, click on all. That way, whenever I drop a video, you'll be notified as soon as I do. So with that being said, definitely want to thank you for taking your time. Share this video with anybody you feel might benefit from that information. You have a good day.